Yeah, okay, I'm back. We're having internet issues today because it's 2022 and dropping internet connections is still a thing. Anyway, in today's not so critical update, we're going to talk about Facebook's fall from grace.
Facebook fall from grace is exactly what we want. However, this is probably going to hurt us more than it hurts Facebook. I mean, losing this much money isn't going to help Facebook, certainly. But the largest single day loss in value in stock market history, Facebook, because of falling short of growth, their daily active user goal fell short. They lost $220 billion today.
Yes!
Not good news.
Today,
Excellent
3rd of
news.
February, when we're recording this.
Yes.
So you might be watching this in the future, maybe even in the past.
Yeah.
There is no sense of time on this show.
No, we're just a revolving door of minutes and seconds.
I'll get it up tomorrow. This will be live on February 4th. And this is the story from today, right now. So this has happened yesterday.
Possibly. Okay. Oh, we're talking in...
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yesterday...
Guys,
largest... Okay,
Facebook.
sorry.
I want to start off by asking Mike, what did you mean when you said that this is going to hurt the market? What is the market? Who's it going to hurt? That they lost some money?
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. Fuck those guys. The only people it's going to hurt are the speculators and gamblers who are
Thank you.
have money in the stock exchange.
Yeah.
And good. Yeah. No,
degenerate gamblers. If you're watching this because you're crying about Facebook, I'm just kidding. No.
Well, it's a good point though. So
it'll hurt the market. A lot of companies are heavily involved in Facebook as an investment.
$220 billion knocked off the stock market price of Facebook because they lost a few users. Something is wrong with the world.
Well, this is it. Yeah, this is hyperinflated companies. Sorry, Peter. Hyperinflated companies that are valued at way too much money for what they're worth are going to see some sharp corrections in the next few years. I think Tesla is due. Facebook is for sure due. And the thing specifically about Facebook, let's keep it on track here. What I wanted to say about them, it's like, it's almost like...
That's it. Come on, guys. Keep it on track.
It's almost like...
Mike,
I'm
you heard John, okay?
It's almost like if you abuse the power of the single largest, as being the single largest monopoly in the social medium space, like you are the monopoly, you know, and it's almost like when you abuse that and you do crazy, you perform privacy violations, you abuse your users, you do like psychology operations on your users, it's almost like that's bad for business.
But it's not. It's not bad for business. That's the problem. It's good for what's bad for business is not doing that more.
Well,
in this
I think
case,
the image, maybe doing it clandestine style is probably the way to do it. Because if you're out
they should
there,
be more careful.
You know, if you're out there,
fudged the numbers.
Yeah, they should have totally.
They're losing $220 billion because their daily active users, which we know from Silicon Valley is the single most important metric for
100%
SaaS startups, fell from $1.93 billion to users to 1.929 billion users. If they had managed to find a way to violate the privacy of only a million more people, then none of this would have happened. The problem is that they didn't have enough privacy violations.
You know, you're onto something.
Oh yeah. Here's an interesting thought experiment. So let's say that Facebook loses enough money that, I don't know, Google could buy them or Apple or someone. Does all that data that Facebook have now then become Google's or Facebook or Apple's or whoever?
Yeah,
Microsoft?
that's part of it. Of course, they want to buy that. Yeah.
Right.
Well, Google would probably not be able to buy Facebook because of antitrust laws. It's just too much power. I think that would be like the Microsoft case in the 90s. Like, it would just be thrown. It would just not be allowed. They'd block it. I actually imagine a world where Facebook gets split apart. That's
Yeah, I
like
was
my
gonna say
dream. Oculus
but
goes
then-
on to be its own company, and WhatsApp becomes its own company again, and Instagram dies a terrible, terrible death, and Facebook is just Facebook, where our parents go to yell at each other.
be racists.
Yeah,
There are
Yeah.
two interesting elements of that way the valuation works, or the way it's being perceived by the stock market. One is that, they mentioned this in the article, Facebook has been investing heavily in short form video, trying to compete with TikTok. There is, so they're spending a lot of money investing in that style of video.
right.
One thing I know though is that YouTube Shorts and TikTok don't generate a ton of revenue
No.
for the content creator.
Yeah,
So Facebook is investing a lot in that, and apparently the shareholders or the investors aren't buying it, whatever. And I think that's right. Also, Facebook is touting that they're putting a ton of money into VR as Meta, and from looking at this investors also aren't buying that. All they care about is that million users that they went
Right.
down instead of up, and all the money they're putting into growth, VR, and short form video. The investors don't care about.
I just don't get it at all. I just don't get it. I don't get the whole fucking thing. Facebook's a rubbish company. Facebook investing in VR is a bad idea. Facebook doing anything except what it's all right at is just terrible. They lost 1 million users. So fucking what? Like, okay, why has it lost so much money? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
I think it's a couple of things though. It's not just 1 million users that caused this 20% drop. It's probably a combination of things. Lack of
They're
trust, a cascading effect when when a market, it's like a domino effect. It
Wait,
can either-
lack of trust in what sense, John?
in the platform.
By who? Like
By
they don't
the-
trust
by,
what
by,
about the platform?
by key holders, like by key stock, like.
But trusting what
investors.
about the platform?
That it's a shit platform that's gonna fail. So like I'll give you an example. Let's say some 3% major or minor stakeholder in Facebook who again he owns 3% of the company. I shouldn't say he. They own 3% of the company. They sell because of this $1 million loss of user, $1 million million user loss. They sell their shares. Okay, so all of the different traders and like stock I don't even know what to call it, money managers, whatever, they see this
Triggers
show
a
up.
sell-off.
Yeah, exactly. It now has
Yeah.
triggered a sell-off.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
because
So that's
kind
not
of
that
like
they-
mob mentality.
Right. Yeah. So I think the
Took me way
problem
too
here,
long to
though,
get that out.
is more systemic, right? Partly to what John just said, this mob mentality about stock trading. But the problem with the stock market is that it has forced companies to exclusively focus on short-term gain. That's kind of the problem with publicly traded companies in general. The CEO's compensation is based on quarterly performance. The value of the shareholders is based on day-to-day performance, as we just seen. All these companies care about is growth. So that's why failing to grow, for seeing contraction for the first time in recent history, is such a big deal, because it's a sign of lack of growth. The investors don't care about their privacy concerns. They don't care about the security risks. They don't care about the political issues that Facebook is challenged with. They don't care about the technology behind Facebook. All they care about is Facebook making money, and are they going to continue to grow quarter after quarter after quarter? That's the only thing they care about. So it's to Facebook's advantage to do whatever the fuck they want to do. They get
like
rewarded for their bad behavior as long as it makes them money.
economies which are based around inflation. Every economy is based around inflation, right?
Based around
country is
inflation.
Yeah.
I'd have to think through that a little bit more.
So they're based around growth in the economy, which generates more money, which is where inflation costs, because it's a cycle where a knock-on effect where, I mean, I'm not an economics expert, but, since we like to pretend that we're experts on everything.
Sure. So as the value of an economy increases, like that's what you're calling inflation.
Yes.
Well, no, but that's not what inflation is. Right.
Let me go up my pipe. Yeah. Well, you see, boys. Inflation
Yeah,
is a complicated
just power
business.
through. Continue with your point, Peter. Don't let us slow you down.
No, I mean, this is my sort of very basic understanding, right? So the economy grows and it produces more, and then costs go, people start charging more for little bits of it, and then people start wanting more to be paid more, and then we have more money to spend, which means that prices go up. Not costs, but prices go up.
Yeah, I think
goes
there's
around in a
a
circle.
there's a distinction
that.
though, because there's a what we're talking about here with Facebook is their market value, which literally has nothing to do with
Right,
any
I know.
economy anywhere.
No, but I'm saying that it's all based around growth, and how it's kind of a what do you call it? Intangible, invisible thing. Like, it doesn't make any difference to the
Yeah.
actual product itself. Like, it's still the same people. It's still the same thing, and it's a perceived increase in value. And I don't think Facebook is worth any more than it was 10 years ago. I think.
No, it's almost certainly not. It's a
Well,
big
it depends
difference
on
for sure.
depends on who you ask. I think
Yeah.
what
I don't know.
our value of
Maybe I'm-
Facebook, I think, is kind of tainted a bit
Yeah.
because we are
Taint is
criticizers
the right word.
of. God damn it, we're criticizers of Facebook, and someone who, like you said, doesn't give a shit about privacy.
Facebook taint.
Someone who doesn't give a shit about privacy, like Potty.
Fuck privacy.
Yeah, exactly.
Potty, you little scamp.
No, bad.
No, over there.
Um,
That
they
guy.
would value Facebook at a very high number because of all the data, all the num data that they could eat up,
And the liabilities of Facebook are absorbed as risk. And if the company tanks, they don't care because they'll just cash out. They'll be
Right.
the first ones to know about it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
the small shareholders who bought through Robinhood will be left holding the bag.
Classic, the dream. Because then you're like,
Fun
all
story.
those people are punished. You know? Oh yeah. Well, we could just wrap it up there.
In summary, I'm really glad that Facebook is going down.